What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, Mom's been yelling at Dad for about a year to make her a stove cover or noodle board, whatever you want to call it. So that's what we're doing today. Alright guys, so here's the deal. Nobody wants to be that guy in any circumstance. So if you're watching more than 2 or 3 of our videos and you haven't subscribed yet, you're that guy. Click that subscribe button, click the little bell icon to get notified when we put out a video, and we're doing 3 a week for you guys. So help us hit that 50,000 mark. Alright guys, so this is a little different than we normally do. We're actually building something and then incorporating our carving into it, which I think we're going to do a little bit more of. So once we put the board together, we actually used our new noodle board set or stove cover set, however you want to do it. And we sprayed these on, and we're going to cut them out with a bandsaw and a skill saw, but you can also use them as patterns to use the router, however you want to do it. So I'll put a link in the description below for our noodle board set. Now let's get to work. So this board's going to be 20.5 inches deep and 30 inches wide. We cut our pieces a little bit bigger, that way once the board is put together, we can cut it down to exactly the size we need. Once the glue dried, I used an 80 grit disc with the disc sander, and I surfaced the whole thing to make it nice and smooth and ready for the layout.
Alright you guys, it's time to start carving. So we did our transfer on this using our standard inkjet transfer on label backer, and we're going to put a link to a video in the description below if you want to see how we did that. But we've done that quite a bit lately, so just check out the description. You'll see a link and show you exactly how we do our transfer process. Let's get to carving.
So we started out with the profile bit at 1/4 of an inch deep. Now most of the time this blue pine carves really well, but for some reason these particular boards were a little grainy. So Dad just kind of took his time and stayed away from the line, that way he could come back and touch them up in case there was some wobbles. Once all the profile work was done, Dad used a 90-degree bit at about 3/16 depth. he went back and he took out all of the excess wood that we want gone, so when we spray it, there's no high spots. Now that the carving's done, we got to spray it black and sand it off. Now this blue pine will bleed if you're not careful, so make sure as you're spraying you don't puddle it up. Then we're going to go back with the disc sander, use the 60 grit disc to get the majority of the black off, and then we're going to go back with the 120 on the random orbital and get it nice and smooth.
Alright, so now let's get into making the handles and the backsplash. And again guys, we're using our Noodle board set, and it just made it a lot easier. We decided to do this, make patterns for it, because Noodle boards are pretty big sellers. We're doing this with the bandsaw and the skill saw, but you can also do it with the router. I'll put a link in the description below if that's something you guys want to check out. So let's get to work.
So we cut the boards for our handles and backsplash exactly the size we want them. Then we laid our set out and we sprayed them to give us a line to follow with the bandsaw and the jigsaw. We used a Portioner bit to put a hole on the edge of each of our handles, and then we just used a jigsaw to connect the holes and cut the thing out. We thought it would look pretty good to have the tops of the handles and the backsplash have a nice deep chamfer and then also sprayed black. So that's what we did here using our 45-degree bit. Then we sprayed the edges black, making sure to tape off anything that we didn't want black that was going to show, and sanded them off with the 60 grit and also the 120 grit. We didn't want sharp corners on the front of the board because knowing Mom, she would end up impaling herself. So we just used the disc sander and rounded those corners off to make it nice and clean looking. Then we marked off where the handles were going to end, and we put a nice deep chamfer, again using our 45-degree bit on the front of the board.
right, you guys, it's time to put this thing together. It's time to assemble it. So we've got our 3 pieces. We're going to use glue and our little pin nailer. But one thing that we got to be really careful of, because we're going to put resin on this thing, we don't want any air bubbles coming out from underneath our framing. So we're going to have to make sure that we've got a good coat of glue on the bottom side.
Alright guys, so we're going to try something a little different with this. We had some gaps in the board between the board and the handles. So what I did for 15 years was caulking and waterproofing. So I'm going to take this thing out and I'm going to use black Starbond to give us a nice line and fill in the gaps. So let's see how it goes.
Once the Starbond dried, then Mom and Dad just put a nice coat of resin on this thing and let it sit for about 24 hours, and we'll see how it turns out.
Alright guys, so that is something a little bit different. Again, we'll probably be doing a few more of these, actually constructing products and then actually adding our carving into there. Super happy with the way this thing came out. We had a vision of what it was going to look like, and I'm really happy with it.
And more importantly, Mom's really happy with it. So we're going to put the link in the description below for all the stuff we used today. If you have any questions, you can email me, Ryan at makeawoodsign.com.
Eric at makeawoodsign.com.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.